Hi, this is Joe again with another review. And for the sake of this video, of course, you can tell from behind me reading constant shirts, I'm a huge baseball fan. And of course, any of you who have watched my videos over the years, you know I've done a ton of baseball movie reviews. So I figured I'd do, since even though it's not quite opening day yet for the 2017 baseball season, it's only March 10th. I figured do a top 10 list of uh, my top 10 favorite baseball films. Now, of course, I've done practically most of them. I've done at one time, or practically all of them. I've done at one time or another review of them. So if you want to see the full review, please check out the full reviews on my YouTube channel. Alright, here we go. It's my number 10 on my list. I gotta have to put this on because it's definitely one of the more popular baseball films. And even though I've done this review a long time ago, but I figured, hey, put on my top 10 list, but putting it low on my list. And if you want to know why, you can check out the full review. Number 10 on my list is the 1988 baseball film, Bull Durham. For this one, Kevin Costner, Susan Sarandon, and Tim Roberts. Of course, this movie is, of course, the one that's started the trend, at least for Kevin Costner anyway, starting the trend of doing baseball films. Even though he only really did 3 in his career, but this one was the first one, and he was already doing movies already. He did the movie No Way Out, which kind of was a big hit, was a hit, but Bull Durham was a bigger hit. And when it was back in 2003, ESPN called Bull Durham the greatest baseball film, greatest sports movie ever. I didn't think so, but I put it at number 10 because it is definitely one of the better movies about focusing on a minor league team, and it kind of broke the string in terms of having a sports movie or at least a baseball movie anyway, and on a championship game, either a World Series game or a one game playoff or whatever. That Bull Durham kind of ended that streak in terms of baseball, because a bunch of baseball movies, uh, is usually either a biopic or a movie about a Cinderella team that wins at the game at the end. Bull Durham is like that. It's focusing on the minor league team, and of course it focused on a love triangle as well. I mean, if they just cut out half the love triangle stuff, Bull Durham, in my opinion, would have been high up on my list. Well, number 9 on my list is the baseball movie. I think it was originally a TNT film, Cooperstown, starring Alan Arkin, Graham Greene, and from The Good Wife, before The Good Wife, Josh Charles. And of course, this movie is about a baseball pitcher who long since retired, and he's wanting to get into the Hall of Fame because a lot of people feel that he's good enough to be in the Hall of Fame, but he's always getting hosed every year by the Veterans Committee vote. It was back in the time when they used to have the Veterans Committee vote every single year for everybody, and that for everybody who was on the baseball writers ballot at that time was 15 years, and then you constantly every year on the baseball writers ballot, on the Veterans Committee ballot every single year for the rest of your life, for forever, pretty much. And his frustration of not getting in, and meanwhile his former teammate, played by in the older version, played by Graham Greene from Dances with Wolves, and even though it does have a lot of humor in it, the scenes where Alan Arkin is describing how to get in the Hall of Fame to Josh Charles' character, and then of course at the end, and there was a cemetery. I don't want to get to why they had a scene in the cemetery, but there was this. Check out my review of Cooperstown for more details on that. But there was a scene in the cemetery which was also very good, but Alan Arkin's frustration of not only him not getting in the Hall of Fame, but a bunch of others who I feel were great ball players and didn't get the recognition as they should as great Hall of Fame players. Number 8 on my list is of course the movie which I feel should be high on my list, but putting it at number 8. The movie For Love of the Game, which of course is another Kevin Costner film. This one is one where he's playing an aging pitcher who, on his way to pitching a perfect game, he's looking back on his imperfect life. And I think it's kind of different because it does focus really on one particular game, and and of course this was the last baseball movie that Kevin Costner made, and I felt like it was I think it's really good. It's really underrated. And all now the criticism was that it's the editing problems, because there were times, especially during the flashback scenes, when Kevin Costner starts to pitch the perfect game, it's a day game, and then they have the flashbacks when he's pitching at night, and then of course when it's the end of the perfect game, which is the main storyline, the main plot of him pitching a perfect game. At the end of the perfect game was at night, so that of what you would call the discontinuity errors. I mean, you can't mess up with the ending because it kind of like jumps around with day games and night games and back and forth with the perfect game and the flashback scenes stuff. I can understand that, but I didn't have a problem as much as other people had. But I also like the movie because it shows Yankee fans in the most positive light. And if you know what I'm talking about, see For Love of the Game. It's definitely way up there. It's definitely one of the better baseball films, at least in the last almost 20 years since it came out. Because they really haven't had a decent baseball movie ever since. Number 7 on my list is the movie Fever Pitch, starring Drew Barrymore and Jimmy Fallon. Of course, this movie is kind of different because it's more of a baseball fans, well, not determination, but his fanaticism over the baseball team. In this case, the Boston Red Sox. Now, this movie was actually based on a book which was about a soccer team. But they changed it for they already made a movie based on the original storyline of the book, but the Farrelly brothers came in and said, "Hey, let's do it for baseball," and they picked the Red Sox on the year when the Red Sox finally ended the curse of the Bambino. And originally, the original ending for Fever Pitch was supposed to be the Red Sox losing to the Yankees in the playoffs. But of course, when the Red Sox made their big comeback, they changed the ending to fit the actual storyline that was actually going on, because the movie was being filmed in 2004. Now, of course, there was a big stink in the end when they caught Jimmy Fallon, where the Fox TV cameras caught Jimmy Fallon and Drew Barrymore kissing on the field in St. Louis when the Red Sox officially clinched the World Series. Because it was a 4-game sweep in 2004. Number 6 on my list, I'm picking the film, which is, I have to feel is one of the more iconic baseball films, and that's of course The Pride of the Yankees. I have to put The Pride of the Yankees on there, though of course obviously I'm a Mets fan, not a Yankee fan. But of course this is one of the first baseball movies that became such a huge box office hit, and most baseball movies aren't a big box office hit, even ones in recent years. But Pride of the Yankees, of course, is a iconic film with Gary Cooper playing Lou Gehrig, and you do have Babe Ruth playing himself in this film. But of course, the problem with Pride of the Yankees is they focus more on Lou Gehrig's private life and not his baseball career. That's the only real knock on this film. Well, actually two. The other one is that Lou Gehrig Gary Cooper, who played Lou Gehrig, couldn't bat left-handed, and so they flipped the negative to make him look like that he was batting left-handed. But that's what they did. But fortunately, this is still one of the more iconic baseball films of all time. It's still, I think it's still one of the more popular ones. And if anybody, I think the reason why in this generation it hasn't gotten that much praise is because people hate black and white movies, which is ridiculous, which is stupid. And also not only that, but of course it doesn't focus on more of Gehrig's baseball career. I mean, it does. I mean, it's references to it, especially when he was dying of ALS, and he gave his famous speech at the end of the movie, and that's how the movie ends. But it still makes up there as one of the better baseball films, and ESPN is crazy not to put this film as number one, or the film we're going to have number one as the best sports film. Number 5, I'm picking from a number 5 film on my list is, of course, the original 1951 Angels in the Outfield. And of course, it has Janet Leigh, one of her early roles, and Paul Douglas. Of course, in 1994, they made a remake of Angels in the Outfield, which was, it was good. They modernized it with the special effects and the computer with the angels flying through the stadiums and all that type of thing. But the original one didn't have any special effects. It's more implied, and you didn't physically see the angel. You just hear the voice of the angels talking to them. But it is a good movie. The whole family could enjoy this movie. And it's also a typical baseball film of a team coming back from Norway and winning. True, they had a little help from the Angels, but it is still an entertaining film. And if you look close, you can see Ralph Kiner in that movie. My number 4 favorite film I have to pick is the 1988 baseball film 8 Men Out. You have to be crazy to pick 8 Men Out. It's definitely one of the better baseball films of all time. All time. It's about, for those of you who don't know 8 Men Out, it's about the 1919 Black Sox scandal. Of course, it has a great cast. It has John Cusack, it has Charlie Sheen, before he went nuts. You had Christopher Lloyd, you had Kevin Teague, from the television show Emergency, and from the movie Wardhouse. You had Clifton James, you had John Mahoney from the Frasier television show. So you had a great cast, and of course it's about the Black Sox scandal of 1919. Like I said, when the Chicago White Sox 8 of the players conspired to throw the World Series. Of course, one of them decided not to go along with it, and that was Buck Weaver, the third baseman, who was played by John Cusack in the film. But the film itself is definitely one of the better baseball films and biopics. And also, it has the same mistake that in the movie Field of Dreams, which I'm going to mention in a second, where one of the White Sox players was actually right-handed, and in the film was being left-handed. So they kind of like the opposite mistake of Field of Dreams. Right, speaking of Field of Dreams, that is my number 3 pick, number 3 movie of the greatest baseball films. These are my favorite ones. Of course, it's also starred Kevin Costner. See, I put all the Kevin Costner movies all on my list. Field of Dreams is definitely one of the best baseball films ever. It's also kind of like a fantasy type film. Kevin Costner was an Iowa farmer who builds a baseball field in the middle of his cornfield, and that field still stands today. And people, I don't think they get as many tourists today as they did at the time the movie came out, which was in 1989. But it also has a great performance from James Earl Jones, who was great. You also had, I think, it was the last movie of Burt Lancaster playing Doc Graham. And of course, he had Amy Mannigan playing Kevin Costner's wife. All of them gave great performance, even the little girl. Because in the movie, Kevin Costner and Amy Mannigan has a daughter, and she also gives a great performance. For somebody that young, she gave a great. I forgot the name of the actress, Gabby Hoffman, I think her name is. Also gave a great performance. Also, Timothy Busfield from the show 37 also plays the a-hole of this movie. But of course, number 2, that's on my list of best baseball films, is of course the 1992 movie. The movie that's celebrating its 25th anniversary this year, by the way, in 2017, is A League of Their Own. Directed, of course, by Penny Marshall, and it has Madonna, Lori Petty, Gina Davis. You have Tom Hanks. And Gary and Penny Marshall's brother Gary, who, God love him, he just passed away recently. You have all these guys all these people in this movie, and it's the first time we actually have women in the forefront as the athletes instead of staying behind that guy. Like so many other baseball, not even baseball films, but sports films in general. And it's definitely one of the best movies. You can ignore the fact that it's an all-girl movie for the most part. And for those of you who refuse to give this movie a chance because it's a girl movie, give it a chance because it's definitely the best movie. It's based on the All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, which started in 1943. And it's definitely the second best baseball film I've ever seen. And my number one favorite, and of course I have to give an honorable mention to the movie Fear Strikes Out, which is of course the movie based on the life of Jimmy Pearsall. I have to give an honorable mention to that one. And that one barely made my cut. Of course, my number one favorite baseball movie of all time is of course the 1984 film The Natural. Of course, starring Robert Redford as Roy Hobbs, Glenn Close, Robert Duvall, Kim Banks, an early movie by Kim Banksy. I think it was like a second movie role. If I'm going to say second or maybe even the third, that's how long ago this movie was. And I also had Wilford Brimley in this film, and also a very early movie by Michael Madsen. So the one was in Thelma and Louise and Reservoir Dogs, and first movie was actually War Games for Michael Madsen. But of course, this movie is based on the book by Bernard Malamud, and of course, this movie was parodied so often, especially 4 years later with the Kirk Gibson home run in the first game of the 1988 World Series. It was parodied because it was like an eerie thing, like 4 years later, because Kirk Gibson could barely walk and was injured with a hamstring on his knee, and he hits a home run to win the first game of the World Series over Dennis Eckersley. That kind of mirrored the ending of The Natural. Of course, we all know what the ending is. The Roy House wins the game, hits the light tower at the end of the movie, and the lights were sparkling. And but that premise was like poked fun of in every baseball movie after that. Of course, I should also give an honorable mention to like Major League as well. Another honorable mention for Major League. I know I won't be surprised if I skipped over a number, but Major League and Fear Strikes Out are also two of my favorites. It's barely made my cut. If I had to pick like 12 movies, I would pick my cut. Because Major League just a bit outside. Shout out to Bob Uecker for that classic line. But as a movie, of course, The Natural is definitely the best movie, and the soundtrack is terrific. Better than any baseball film that you could ever hear. So that's my list of the top 10, my top 10 favorite baseball films. Please click on the video, please rate it. Feel free to comment on it. Please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. You can check out all of my videos on my YouTube channel at rallyc.com. That's OWDY, C.com. There's a homepage and rally reviewer, Christy Moore. Please also check out all of his videos on his website as well. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.